Alright, and welcome back. This is the continuation of building the tailcone for the RV-14. Right now I'm working on the bell crank rib assembly. This is the forward part of the framework that goes inside the tailcone, on the bottom of the tailcone. And you'll essentially put this together and then attach it to that largest bulkhead ring there that you see on the table there, and it's the first steps of actually making the tailcone. So to this point, mostly I've been doing prep work, and I think I might have missed some videos of between the last one and this video. So I think this actually jumped ahead a little bit. Anyway, so with this, there are several nut plates that you have to put in place, and if I recall correctly, some of them were not the easiest to get to, but you have to make sure that you get those done before you start assembling everything, just so you can get access to them with a squeezer and whatnot. So I think that's what I'm working on here, and there I had made a mistake, so that's me drilling out a rivet. Some of these were not the easiest to get to with the squeezer, but if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure all of them were able to be done. It's just some of them were a little more tricky than others. So anyway, the two frames that are coming out, that are next to each other, those have pieces that are riveted to them to create the top flange of those ribs, and those have some nut plates in them, and I believe there's one set of nut plate holes that are actually not used, if I recall correctly. I seem to remember going through and looking at it at the piece and wondering why I didn't have a nut plate here, and went back and looked at the plans, and then sure enough it said nope, no nut plate used here. But other than that, the rest of this goes pretty easily, pretty quickly, and it's just a matter of putting everything together, making sure you're lining it up correctly, and then going from there. And so the rest of it is pretty quick. I think I mentioned in the previous video, I'm now essentially complete with the tailcone itself. As I'm editing this video here, I've got quite a few videos to go through to catch up to where I'm actually at, but it's a pretty quick process. All of this has been really quick. Yeah, I just realized why it was so dark, and decided to shed some light on the subject here, so it's a little easier to see. So see, now I've fast forward a little bit again. I think I lost some video somewhere. So the bell crank rib assembly is completed and attached, and I think it's riveted in place here. Actually, I've got there's several clecos on the forward rib, because you don't cleco those at this point. I think you don't rivet those at this point. I think that you'll rivet those once you put the fuselage and the tailcone together. I think that's when those get riveted. Anyway, so I've got the bottom skin here with the two bulkheads in place, and they're all riveted in place to the bottom skin. Now I'm working on, I believe these are called the longerons, however you want to pronounce that. These are the side frames, where the bottom side skin and the top side skins will attach. So you go through and you do a whole bunch of countersinking. There's a lot of countersinking on this. Pretty much every hole that's there, and there's quite a few of them, are going to be countersunk. And so you go through putting this all together, like I said, and it goes by really quickly, especially once you get the bottom skin and the longerons and the J stiffeners all prepped. Then the matter is just going through, putting the skins on and riveting them in place, and really it is pretty quick. So It's been a while since I've put out a couple of videos. I recently flew up to Oregon and visited some friends, and had an experience on the way back. I've mentioned before, I believe not only am I building this RV-14, but I also currently have a 1964 Cherokee, Piper Cherokee 235. Nice airplane. Picked it up last September, and I've probably put about 60 hours on it since. And I've flown it quite a bit, mostly around the Phoenix area, to a couple fly-ins and whatnot. But twice I've now taken it, and I flew it up to Oregon and back. Once when I first purchased it back in September, and this past weekend. So it's a lot of fun to fly it. Had my first scare, I guess. I'm a young pilot. I've got just a little bit less than 200 hours of total flying time. And anyway, on the way back from Oregon, I was landing here at Glendale Airport in Phoenix area, and just about 5 miles out, the engine, as I was decelerating and pulling back on the throttle to start going down to traffic pattern altitude, decided it wanted to run extremely rough and try to die on me while I was overflying some houses. So it was quite the eye-opener. So that's something I'm going to be working on for a while, also trying to figure out what's wrong with the engine. But I'm also going to try to get these videos out as I go. I got a lot of catching up to do. So that's that. If I figure out what's wrong with the engine, hopefully get it fixed and it won't be too expensive. But anyway, I'll keep you up to date. So it's not going to stop me from flying. It's an experience. Every pilot someday in their career is more likely going to run into something. So that was my something. So anyway, like I said, continuing to countersink the holes for the long runs. And in the next couple of videos, I should be getting the side skins on and then starting to run some electrical and some plumbing for various things. It's quite a bit of stuff goes into the back of this thing, and a lot of the stuff is pre-wired and pre-set up by Vans. But other than that, like I said, it's a pretty quick process, not too terribly difficult. It's just a lot of prep work, but it does, like I said, it does go by really quick. Right now, I'm actually at the point of getting the elevators hung onto the horizontal stabilizer, and it's a bit of a fuss. And when I get that video out, you'll see why. And once I can get those pieces on and hung and put on correctly, and then do the fairings, then I'll be ready for the wings, which my wing kit comes in about 3 weeks. So I got a lot of work to do between then and now to get this done and put away so I have room for the wings. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and let this video run out. Again, I appreciate those who continue to follow these videos. If you have any comments, questions, anything you want to bring up, by all means, leave it down below. If you get a chance, hit that like button for me. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. I try to get these out on a regular basis, but sometimes life does get in the way. But again, I do appreciate you guys following, and we'll see you next time around.